the spiritual works of mercy is to admonish sinners. That word admonish has a negative ring to it, like we're going to diss somebody or yell at them or point our finger at them. So maybe we could come up with a better word. To admonish a sinner is to really call someone who we can see as clearly hurting themselves and hurting others back to a clarity of purpose. If we see somebody going astray, isn't the greatest act of love to tell them the truth, even sometimes when that truth is hard? Every parent gets this lesson, right? So if we never say no to our children, if we never correct their bad behavior, how are they ever going to change? In leadership training, we call this peer-to-peer accountability, where we call each other to be accountable to who we say that we are and the mission that we embrace. So to admonish someone when they're clearly straying from God, straying from goodness, straying from the truth, is really an act of both truth-telling and loving and honesty and goodness. And I trust that people will do that for me when I need to hear it, even though it may be hard to hear, hard to receive. So spiritual work of mercy is to admonish a sinner. And perhaps the first person that needs that admonishing is ourselves. That first I have to look at the sin in my life, and as Jesus says, take the plank out of your own eye before you take out the splinter in somebody else's. So the more serious we are about our path of discipleship, our call to holiness, the more we can have authenticity to call others to that same path of goodness and integrity. To admonish a sinner is to truly love someone and to combine that love and truth that's so powerfully present in Jesus' ministry and in his words.
My name is Maria Padula, and I am a parishioner at St. Peter's Parish in LaPorte. One of the things I do there is I teach what they used to call CCD, religious education, to the second grade. And I'm a member of the Our Lady of the Snows women's group. I have a religious education program in Michigan City at St. Mary's. I'm the coordinator there. And I also work on Sunday mornings at Queens because I can speak Spanish, and the Bishop Melchek wanted parents, when they neglected to send their children in, to call them. Not that most of them were Hispanic, but I was one of the few people who could speak Spanish to them. And I also teach religious education at St. Joe's in LaPorte. I love being with the children, and I love teaching. Well, I can very well see how it would be a daunting subject for someone to approach, unless you really think about it. First of all, we're talking about works of mercy, and we have to remember to keep that word mercy in our head. And secondly, when we say the word admonish, that puts people sometimes in a position of feeling that they can talk down to someone or they can correct them. We have to realize what the word admonish really means. Ad means two, and mon means to one thing. We have a monotheistic religion. That means we believe in one God. So the word mon, M-O-N, means take somebody to the one important thing. That's hard to do sometimes. But we have to realize when we're talking to people and we're worried about their state, we have to realize, first of all, that we're sinners. I've been there, done that. I'm an old sinner. And you have to do it in mercy, and you have to do it in great love. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a mother of 4. Her husband said to me, she's screaming all the time. Everybody's upset in the house. And I thought, he said, talk to her. I said, how could I help her? How could I help her? I helped her by telling her that that's what I used to do. That I had 4 children. I had 4 teenagers at once. And there were times when I really had to be tough. And there were times when I did scream. And then I felt badly afterwards. I told her this. I was telling her this because I have been in that position. I said, I felt terrible after I lost my temper, after I screamed and I yelled. I even went to an anger management group called Recovery Incorporated. Not recovery for drugs, but for people who had nervous symptoms like loss of temper or something. And it was wonderful for me. So wonderful that my oldest son, who is the strongest in nature, used to do a double take when I didn't lose my temper. I'd see his whole body. And I realized how effective recovery was. And so I had a self-help group to help. Well, I was in a position to tell her that I was the one who had done that. And she broke down and cried. And she said, don't you think I feel miserable? I realized that's the best way to admonish the sinner, to tell him that you're one, that you've been there, you've done that. I'm not a holy gamoly preaching to you. That's no way to do it. We're all sinners. Whether it's a child, a teenager, a man or a woman who's having a relationship with somebody that they shouldn't be with, you got to do it in love. Some way or another, you have to help them. You can't point a finger. That's no way to admonish the sinner. I have a second son who is a brilliant teacher. They've said to him in his district that he's the most exciting teacher they've had there in 30 years. And do you know, this morning, he is going to a detoxification program because he's been taking a substance. And I tell you this because it's all around us. It's all around us. How do we help and love these people who need this help? I take responsibility for some of it, although my other children say, Mom, don't. I say, well, maybe I was too strict, maybe I was this, maybe I was that. But I pray to God, and you have to do penance for some of these people because the evil spirit himself is alive and well, and he's doing such work among our people that we have to do penitential work, we have to pray, we have to fast, and we have to love them. Above everything else, we have to love them because that's what mercy is all about. That's what God is all about. If we're going to admonish sinners, let's do it the right way.